Here we are, 13 games in and only 5 points on the board. I was sat in the South Stand all game thinking, oh my lord, this time we weren't able to get out of jail with a pen. But let's get over this, Ole. It's podcast number 10. How are you doing?
I'm not bad. Obviously, it takes some getting over what we were forced to watch at the weekend. But other than that, can't complain too much. How are you doing?
Yeah, I can complain a lot, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it just stems from this defeat. People asking me in work this morning, how was your weekend? How was your weekend? And I'm thinking, just losing at football just put me in a really, really bad mood. And it just, that's what happens, doesn't it? It puts you in a bad mood, and then you just continue that mood throughout the weekend.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not even so much that it put me in such a bad mood. It makes you feel like you've wasted a weekend. I was like, on Friday, I left work and I thought, oh, tell you what, I'm going to have a great weekend. I'm going to relax. And then it turns out that within, what, an hour and a half, my entire weekend can be I'm not relaxing, I'm not having a rest, I'm just being miserable about football, and I'm cold. I'm going to be really cold.
It's not great. We will talk about Bournemouth at some point. I just wanted to find out what you've been up to, really, because that's surely got to be more exciting than the football.
Well, you say that. I will say this is exciting, and this is where if you have neurodivergence and you are familiar with the term hyperfocus, you will understand exactly what I'm about to get to. Because since we last did a podcast, which I make to be 3 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since
Yeah.
then, I've
2 weeks,
read
3 weeks.
about, I think it's 170 Spider-Man comics. I've played Spider-Man the game, Spider-Man Miles Morales the game, and watched all, how many is there? All 8 Spider-Man films. I've been in a very, I went down a rabbit hole. And I've spent a long time down that rabbit hole. And I'm at the other end of it. I can see that there was a rabbit hole there. And that I was stuck in it for a little while. But at this side of it, we're okay. Saturday after the football, I went to watch wrestling. So I got to bed at about 5 o'clock, which put me in an even better mood, I'm sure, on Sunday. And yeah, overall, can't complain too much. How have you been? What have you been up to?
Yeah, good. To be fair, we went for a meal at Forum before we went to the match, actually, and then I met my mate Ewan. We went for a few beers. Then we saw you, didn't
You
we?
did? We did. Yeah, we bumped into each other. I was just walking past. I thought, oh, on my way to Bramall Lane, I think they're going to play everywhere at some point. I look forward to getting a sing-song in. And just as I was walking down, I hear this big booming voice from behind me.
Oh,
Oh,
oh.
oh! I had to
Do
get
you know what I
dragged
did
in
do, which
from
was
the
even
house.
more embarrassing that you didn't know about? So I'll let people in on a little secret. We were talking to Hal, who was in a box in
Was in a
our
box.
mate Dean's box, DSM. You've never met Dean, have you?
No, I've never been in a box
No.
either. But, it's fine. We move. I've had the same seat all my life, and I'd continue to sit in it for the rest of it, I'm sure. So, yeah, never get to be in a box. Never get to meet Dean from DSM. Just get to
Dean's a
see Hal
legend.
with his lifts behind his little thing.
So, so the reason why Ollie says this is because me and my mate Ewan met up with Hal before the game. He had to come down from the box to chat with all the
Us
peasants,
commoners.
and he looks like a police officer from like the 90s as well. With his, he had like a collar and then like a jumper over the top.
A geography teacher.
Geography teacher, yeah. Yeah, we'll go with that. So I had a chat with Hal, and then you were walking past, and Hal went, "Oh, Ollie's there." And what I did was, by the way, it's on the John Street, and it's all very, very quiet. There weren't many people in there, just people on the desk, and then like a couple of security. Could you call them security because they're like really old men? They're not doing any sort of bouncing. They're
No,
just
I'd,
there to,
I'd fancy me chances. I mean, I wouldn't.
yeah.
Not even a little bit. I'd get beat up, but still.
I don't
For
think you
for
would. I
people
really
who are
don't.
more, that way inclined than me, I imagine they'd fancy their chances. I'd
Yeah,
just cry and apologise.
probably.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do anything wrong, please.
Anyway, so what I did, instead of opening the door and shouting your name, which I eventually did, and you heard me, I banged on the window, on the glass, and went, "Ole!" And I didn't look around me. I didn't look how embarrassed I made myself. But then I opened the door and shouted you, I went, "Ole!" And like you couldn't then say, "No, Nick, I want to go to my seat and I want to enjoy the game." You were like, "Okay," because that's you, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, yes, sir. I'm coming. Don't worry.
I would have though. Anyone would have because I was really rude and were like, "Ollie, get over here."
Yeah, you were. Yeah, but I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
I'd just come out at pub. I was all right. I'd watched Man City Liverpool. I was in a good mood at that point. Still, we had a nice conversation about how we were all thinking, "Oh, happy birthday, Hal! We'll get to celebrate with a nice performance, and it'll all go well." And yeah, so that were it. Turned out the highlight. It were all downhill from there. It actually probably. Let's just from the minute I heard you shout my name, it was all downhill.
What are you saying that seeing Hal for the first time in about 3 years was a low point of the day?
So, what was the first topic of conversation?
Do you know what I actually want to say? What do you reckon?
I like it. Is this one of your vintage purchases?
Vinted purchases. I don't think I've got my other vinted purchase, but well, round here anyway. Yeah, recently I don't want to give my sources away too much, saying that I've just given them away. But I used to love buying really old Blade shirts from eBay, and I just got out of it a little bit. When I see one that it's like, do you know what? I haven't seen that one in a while. I only really like to buy the ones that are like really sought after, and then I haven't seen for a while. And obviously, I picked this one up
Mm.
recently. It's a little bit, you can't see it on this one. It's a little bit worn on the sponsor. Other than that, I think it's pretty damn good. And obviously, this is a shirt for many blades will absolutely love this shirt because it is the shirt that we got promoted in at Northampton, and obviously scored a lot of goals in, won a lot of games in. So yeah, I never had this one, so
Nice.
I'm glad I've got this one. I also picked up, if you've seen on Twitter, the David McGoldrick 17 shirt from the first season in the Premier League under Chris Wilder, which is a weird one. It's like this was an XL. The other one wasn't. By the way, I'm an XL. I'm a big fat boy these days. And both of them just my size. Like, who's selling a David McGoldrick 17 shirt in my size for the best Premier League, well, the best season in my lifetime? That's just
That's the
mental.
deal, isn't it? And also, obviously, it was a bit of a cursed shirt for Didsey because that was the season that, for love nor money, he couldn't hit a barn door if he tried. United were brilliant, but he himself was having a mare week after week.
But no, he wasn't though. He
No,
wasn't though. He
he
wasn't
was
having a mare.
brilliant. He was just
It,
missing sitters week after week.
that's it. He was having a mare in front of goal,
Yes.
which is the game that you remember the most, the biggest miss that you remember the most? Because I've got it up
Were
here.
it were it
I know which one I'm going for.
so were it Brighton away when he had open net? It's got to be that
Took you
one.
round the goalkeeper.
Put it wide.
I actually think he mentioned that when I spoke to him on the podcast, and he literally said, "Can't I don't know." Oh yeah, he said his leg went a bit numb,
Yeah.
but that's what happens, isn't it? Do you know when
It
you're
were
just so
literally every
shot of
week, weren't
confidence?
it? Every week he'd have a
But
sitter, and then but he'd be brilliant. He'd play fantastic, and every week he'd have a sitter and just miss it.
I don't think I've ever seen a player play so well but miss so many chances. Normally, when a
Yeah,
player's missing so many really good chances, the confidence is just
everything's gone.
shot. But everything about him was brilliant except for putting the ball in the back of the net, and then obviously scored a couple against Chelsea, and the rest was history.
Yes, obviously, once we weren't allowed to watch it, he got a lot better in terms of his chances in front of goal. And that was the biggest shame, I think, of that season for me, because I thought everybody, absolutely everybody in Bramall Lane were dying for him to get his goal in front of the fans. And it's such a shame we didn't get to have that moment, because that really would have been special. Of course, he did score the first game we were allowed back against Burnley when we beat them 1-0, but don't think it had quite the same impact on the back of that season. Speaking of old shirts, and I know this is very, very random, I have literally just, I can't remember what I was doing. I was obviously on Facebook flicking through because, standard. It's either on We Are United or Blade to Blade or one of them United things. somebody has just dug out a pre-World War II shirt. Have you seen
Seen
this?
it.
It was a great shirt. I was looking at it and I was like, wow, what a find that is. Get that on Vinted. It looked like an
Do you
extra
know?
large.
Do you know what wound me up about that as well? Did you
So
see what they wrote about it?
somebody's been using it for decorating, haven't they? I know.
My God, who would do that?
Oh, I
Who
know.
would do that? That wound me up big time. It really did. But that is a
It's a great
find and a
find, isn't
half.
it?
That is history.
Yeah, I'd have loved
'Cause
that.
there was
That is a
nothing on it.
great
No
find.
badge. No badge.
Just a red and white
No
shirt.
badges on the sleeves. No door deals on the back.
Alpha
Nothing.
rooms printed across his belly. None of that.
None of that. No, it's fantastic. That
Yeah.
really, really good find. That needs to go. A lot of people said that needs to go in the museum. So yeah,
Or get
that'd
it
be
up, get it
fantastic.
framed and get it up in railway. That'd do. So what I've done.
Yeah.
I think I've had old shirts like that I've had signed. I've always ended up there.
No, it's such a good little find. That like how
Yeah,
it could be
so
a
good.
Sunderland shirt though, for all we know.
Yeah, but we're claiming it.
Could be a Stoke
That's
shirt.
what matters. Could be. We could name a lot of teams. It could be Nick.
Yeah. Shall we just keep doing that instead of talking about the Bournemouth game?
Oh, actually, yeah, right. So Stoke.
Olympiacos.
Oh, so Brighton. When we went and when we were going to Brighton away, Olympiacos had played against West Ham that week in Europe in London. And so when we had to change, and I'm sure any of you United fans who did it on train will have had a similar experience. Probably not. This is quite specific, but you'll understand. I don't know where I'm going. So we got off train in London, and I'd obviously got my United shirt on, and as we were walking across London from Victoria or wherever, two Olympiacos fans came over and were like, "Yeah, red and white. Yeah, what team is this?" And I was like, "Sheffield United, mate. Who are you?" And he was like, "Olympiacos. We play red and white as well. Yeah." And I had a
Oh,
nice
love
5-minute
that.
chat with some Greek Olympiacos fans. They were lovely, great people.
I hope they've gone away, found out that George Baldock plays for Sheffield United, and they're going to be a Sheffield
Yeah.
United fan for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, I think they will. They said they like red and white because we play in red and white as well, and that's enough for me. I'll take it.
Were you quick? Were you quick enough on your feet to say George Baldock?
To be honest with you, I was barely quick enough on my feet to go Sheffield United, mate. He was like, "What shirt is it?" And I was like, "It's
Araya?
we Brighton. No, that's not a Brighton. No, but we're going to Brighton."
Oh God! One last thing I will say before we get into it. I helped Johnny in doing the hosting for the Paddy Kenny night, which was fantastic. Anyone who came, absolute legends. Paddy Kenny, an absolutely fantastic storyteller. So funny. Everything that he came out with was literally like belly laughing. He's so good, and really nice bloke as well. Had a few photos with him. What a guy! Johnny did a fantastic job. Then I did the Q&A afterwards, which was just incredible because like it just gives you such an adrenaline rush in front of loads of people talking, and yeah, we had a good old laugh. So yeah,
Good.
big shout out to anyone that went to that one. That was really fun. Hopefully we can do more stuff like that in the future.
Awesome.
I want us to do a Sheff United Way show, but I just don't know if there would be enough take up to it.
It'd be me and you. We'd be all right. What we could do is you could host for the first half and I'll sit in the audience. Then I'll host the second half and you can sit in the audience. And then it don't matter. Don't need it. Yeah. We're like, oh, get off the stage.
No, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
that would be really fun. So if anyone wants us to do that, let us know.
I am still a little bit gutted. So the background to this, obviously, it sounds like a fantastic night. Sounds like both you and Johnny have done a fantastic job there as well. I'm sure Johnny absolutely smashed it. It was 5 minutes away from me. So I live 5 minutes away from the big tree where this was hosted. Nick messaged me and he said, "Oh, do you want to go down and meet Paddy Kenny? You can maybe interview him, see what happens, maybe get something for the channel." Yes, Nick, I would absolutely love to go and meet Paddy Kenny, get something for the channel. But obviously, as you can tell from context of what Nick's just said, I didn't get to do that. No, because it turns out that somebody in Blackpool decided that they wanted to have a really important meeting about SEND that day that runs until 5 o'clock. It was chucking it down. It was cold. And I had to be in Blackpool instead of interviewing Paddy Kenny. And as you can tell, I've took it well. Honestly, the next time they ask me for all, I'm going to be like, no, you're not. No. Can we have some support? No,
My
you
biggest
can't.
question about all that is why'd you call it SEND and not send?
Because, I don't know. I mean, I call it either. Depends what I'm
That's
doing.
have you ever called it send?
I call it send like probably 90% of the time, to be honest. But I thought, I'm currently doing a podcast where people don't work in education. And therefore, if I say send, they might be like, oh, is he a postman? Why is he delivering to Blackpool this quickly? I thought I'd to try and be a bit more accessible for the people and called it SEND. They might
There you go.
understand what it is. But no, you're right, Nick. Let's just completely gatekeep. Guys, I'm working on send and CSC. Hope you're having a great time. Keep up the good work.
Oh dear, dear, fantastic. What I was going to say, you just touched on it there, that we did record something. I say we, I recorded something for the Sheffield United Way channel with Mr. Paddy Kennick. So that will be coming up on the channel very, very soon, which is exciting. I don't know how long we're going to have to wait for the footage, but we didn't record it. It was filmed with lights and more than
Ooh.
one camera and exciting things. So yeah, really looking forward to that. Let's now talk about Bournemouth, Ollie.
I don't want to, Nick. Just don't want
Why?
to. So, right. There's obviously something to talk about with Bournemouth, and I think we've touched on it a little bit. We talked about having luck in the games against Wolves. We talked about luck in the games against Brighton, and I do think that all ties together to sum up what actually happened against Bournemouth. The performance was obviously awful. It was worse than that. If there were words to describe it, I would use them, but we're a family-friendly channel, so I will not use the words which are most appropriate to describe the situation that we saw on Saturday. But that isn't a shock. The performance level wasn't a surprise. It wasn't different. It wasn't new. The first half against Wolves, we were lucky that we went in at 0-0. It could have been the same situation. You particularly saw, I think it was there, Ait Nori, wasn't it, who missed the open net. And you thought, actually, we've done well to go in at 0-0. Against Brighton, Fate and Adingra absolutely tore us apart. We could have been 3 down in 20 minutes, never mind at half
Yeah.
time. So, this was coming. Like, it was always going to get to the point where we can't rely on a tactic of, for 45 minutes, we will do absolutely nothing. We won't run a bar. We won't try and tackle. We won't try and pass ball. We won't do anything at all. We'll just try and get to half time and then see what happens for 45 minutes after that. That's not going to work because teams are going to tear you apart. And, ultimately, they might argue that we were in, 2 minutes of it working and as only being 1-0 down and then maybe having a chance in second half before Wes does his Wes thing. And God knows what that were all about. But overall, that wasn't a shock of the performance. And so, yeah, it's made it a very, very difficult situation for me right now. I don't know what the way forward is. I don't think there is one. I don't think I've ever watched United. I thought it was worse than Newcastle. I think that's all I can say is I genuinely thought it was worse on Saturday than Newcastle. If we'd played a better team, if we were playing Newcastle again, it would have been more than 8 because the performance was just that bad. We offered nothing at all. I've got no positives apart from that McBurney scored quite a nice header in the 95th minute when nobody cared.
Yeah, most people had gone by that
Yeah,
point as well.
it was one of them where I was genuinely a little bit embarrassed to even celebrate. I sort of did one of these because there was nothing it doesn't save anything, it doesn't change anything. It just means that it's a less embarrassing scoreline. But yeah,
That's
there's
it.
not much to
That's it.
say. Is there?
And another goal from McBurney, which is nice because you want your strikers to score, don't you?
Yeah, you do, and he deserves
You
it
want to score as
because
yeah, of
of,
course he
of the
does.
players we've had this season, he's top 3, top 2 probably. Him and Jack Robinson. I don't think anybody else has got much to shout about.
Ooh, you are delving into quiz territory, so I'll need to stop that right now. So that's a little bit of a spoiler.
Spoiler
before we
alert:
continue.
Jack Robinson's answer to one of
But-
quiz. I'm going to say Jack Robinson 5 times for every question. Oh, who scored United's first goal in Premier League? Jack Robinson. I'll get one.
But no, you hit the nail bang on the head. If we'd have played anybody else, like a Man City, a Liverpool, someone with blistering pace, incredible skill, great quality going forward, you'd understand it a little bit more. And don't get me wrong, I spoke to a bloke on Sunday at my nephew's football. He actually said to me, "You were a bit harsh on lads, weren't you?" And I was like, "Were I?" And he was like, "Well, I agreed with you, but I still thought you were a bit
No,
harsh."
I don't think anything. I genuinely don't believe there is a single thing you could possibly have said that was too harsh. short of like a personal attack, I think genuinely any relatively professional commentary on that game could not be harsh enough because they were awful. Like, genuinely, I was thinking about this. And even in the games in League One, when we were really, really bad, like Southend, like Shrewsbury, there were those games in League One where we were terrible. But yet, still, for some of the game, you kind of like went, I can see what we're trying to do. Oh, maybe you said, oh, we could still get back into this. Like Shrewsbury 4-2, you thought, oh, maybe there's a chance we get back into it. Southend game were done after 20 minutes, but for the next 70, you did at least think for a moment, oh, if we can get one. Whereas on Saturday, genuinely, there was not a single moment of hope in the entire game. Like, there was never a moment in the entire 90 minutes that I thought we could get something here. And I don't think I've ever been to a game. It, it's one of them where there was just, I didn't see any effort, which hurt more than anything else. I know that we're not good enough. I completely know and understand that at this level, this current Sheffield United team are not good enough for the Premier League. And that is, none of that blame is on the players, or for me, this will be up for debate. But the blame of the quality of the players isn't on the players themselves. It's a little bit on the management, but a lot of it will go upstairs and elsewhere on how they've built the squad, what they've done with the money that we've got, what they've done with the players that we had in the summer. That is its own issue, where that doesn't affect what we saw on Saturday, because for me, Saturday wasn't a quality issue. Saturday was, the sum of our parts is rubbish.
Yeah.
And yet they're managing to make it worse. We are less than the sum of our parts. And the sum of our parts are probably the worst team in the division. So what have we become? There was no effort. I was seeing players like Vinny Souza and Luke Thomas. And honestly, there was a moment on Saturday where if you said to me, Luke Thomas will never play for United again, I would have stood up and celebrated that like the biggest cheer of the day, because that goal was completely unexcusable from him personally. I'm not having any of it blame the ref or anybody else. He personally has to take all of that responsibility because it was embarrassing. And I can't excuse no effort. I can excuse everything else, but I can't excuse no effort. And I didn't see any effort. And I think that means big, big changes are needed. And I think those changes run all the way. I think we've got to change everything. I think we need a new style of play. We need to actually have a style of play. Actually, I don't need a new one. I just like one. Just anything. Even if it's some form of terrible oofball, at least give me a plan. Because we haven't got one at the minute. And it's just, we're supposed to be in Premier League. And if you can't do the absolute bare minimum, then we don't deserve to be here with what we've got on offer at the minute. Like, there are teams worse than us in this division. Burnley are worse than us on merit. But I would be able to tell you what their plan is. Like, I could tell you what they at least try and do. They might do it really, really badly, but I can tell you what they're trying. Yeah. I can't tell you what we're trying. I've got no idea what we're even trying to do.
Can I just run you through these stats? These are from the Bladesman on Twitter. You've probably seen this already.
Yeah.
Sheffield United comprehensive stats per game, in brackets, rank in Europe's top 5 leagues out of 96 teams. Remember that. 96 teams. So out of 96 teams, we are 93rd in goals. I'm not actually going to say everything what it is. I'm just going to run you through. I'm just going to run you through what position we are. Don't matter what it is. There's goals, XG, shots on target, goals conceded, etc., etc. So 93rd, 92nd, 94th, 96th for shots on target. The worst in the Europe's top 5 leagues. 96 for shots on target against, 96 for progressive carries, 91, 89, 95, 68 for opposition passes in the final third.
There's a reason, though. Like, when you actually hear what that stat is, opposition passes in the final third, it's because nobody needs to pass. They just get ball at the feet and walk towards our net, and then they score. Like, they don't have to pass it about. They can just, like, stand there and, like, I'll just keep going. Don't worry about passing, lads. I've got this. Oh, God, it's embarrassing.
84th, 91st, 94th, 96th, 96th for crosses. 84th, 91st, 96th, 91st. Right. I can understand us being in the 90s for a few things, because at the end of the day, we are second bottom, but you would think that we're good at some things.
Yeah, like, we are. We're good at not letting other teams pass against us in our final third, Nick.
Right. I know we're laughing. It's no laughing matter. It's just
If I
embarrassing.
don't laugh,
And
I'll cry.
I yeah, I was really, really embarrassed. That was Southend for me. That was like Southend. I was I was probably a bit more embarrassed losing against Southend so easily. But this is
You,
Bournemouth, and Bournemouth did play really well,
did they?
but we should not be letting, I'm going to say teams like Bournemouth, because that's not anything against Bournemouth. That is something against teams in the bottom half. And Bournemouth aren't just in the bottom half.
It's the bottom
Bournemouth were
four.
like, what, fifth bottom?
Fourth
Sixth
bottom.
bottom?
Oh no, Everton got
So,
docked, didn't they? So fifth bottom, yeah.
oh, wait, yeah. So
On merit,
Bournemouth are one of
yeah.
these teams that are in our mini league that everyone keeps saying. And they absolutely spanked us 3-0 at home. And like we say, it wasn't, I don't know if I would have been more or less annoyed if we'd have lost in the last minute 2-1 against Bournemouth. I'd have probably been more annoyed at the time because obviously conceding a late goal,
But you'd have
but
had hope.
at least we'd have seen something.
You'd
At
have had
least would have seen us string two passes together. At least would have seen us put the ball into their box. At least would have seen us just do something. We did nothing for 93 minutes of that game or whatever it was.
it's the absence of hope. That's the thing. It's I don't think I've ever.
Apathy.
Well,
It's happened.
yeah.
That's how we're starting to feel.
It's well, I want to call it apathy, but I care too much. Like I want honestly at half time, my friend went to me. Well, at least you're not going to let it ruin your mood, all because I'd shouted at him for 10 minutes, and it was one of them where genuinely, at this stage, I'm still angry, and it's because they've taken away the hope I had. Like, when you get promoted to Premier League, you should at least be able to think. Like, look at. You're not telling me that man for man, Luton are a better team than us. Have Luton got a better squad than we have? Have they got a bigger
No.
budget than us? None of those things. Luton have not got more money. They've not got better players. They've got a coaching staff and a plan that gets the most out of the limited resources that we've got. We've got a coaching staff and a plan that gets the least out of the limited resources that we've got at this stage. And I don't like the idea that I've now got to sit through 25 games where I can't even think we have a chance of not losing. Like, we're going to Burnley next week. Burnley have lost every game they've played at Turf Moor this season. They are the only team in the country, I think, that are actually worse than us on merit in terms of points that they've earned rather than had taken away.
Yeah.
And yet, are you telling me that you honestly think we'll beat them? Do you think we'll
No.
do? Do you think there's a chance that we'll win on Saturday?
Well, I've not watched Burnley enough to see how bad they are, but I can't imagine they'd be worse than us.
I can't see how we beat anyone, and that's the thing. And I mean, there's what. Well, and to give us one positive to end on one bit of the lighter note. At least Wednesday lost. It's the only
Do you know what,
positive I've
mate?
got.
I don't even care anymore. I don't care. Not
I
seeing
do because I
Wednesday
don't want to play them.
lose.
I don't want to play them next
Well,
year.
do you know what it is? I no longer get excited when Wednesday lose. And obviously,
You
I
used
don't
to
mean
it.
excited as in I'm so bothered. But you know when the fans don't even sing
No, I know.
Sheffield Wednesdays it
Messed it
up
up
again.
again.
No, we don't even like we're that bad that we can't even enjoy Wednesday being bad. It's just like it's more of a relief
Yeah,
when
that's it.
Wednesday have
It is
lost.
relief. It's the idea that, and so it brought. I was
If
thinking about
we're
this the
going to
other
be really,
day.
really bad, at
They've got to
least
be as
they're
well.
really, really bad at the same time.
Because can you imagine? Oh yeah, that's what I mean when I say at least they lost. What I mean is at least they're as bad as we are. Like, because it would be horrible if they were good and we were bad. At least it's terrible enough that we are bad, and it ruins me weekend every week. And it ruins, like, it makes me like I'm just angry about. I don't talk to anybody about football. I had a Liverpool fan come up to me at work today, and I was like, "Just go away. Just don't. I don't want to talk to you, mate." He came over and he was like, "Oh, well, I don't know whether to be happy with point at City." I was like, I nearly hit him. I was like,
Uh, is he a Scouser?
yeah, he's from the Wirral. I should be very clear. He's from the Wirral.
Oh,
I have to pronounce it properly and make sure I say all the right words.
why? What's wrong with? How do you pronounce the Wirral wrong?
If you don't say the, he gets really angry about it.
Wirral. You're from. Do you, what if you say from Wirral?
I reckon I can get away with that. I can get away with it for being from Sheffield, but somebody else did it who wasn't from Sheffield and doesn't have that pronunciation. And we're like, I'm from Liverpool, you're from Wirral. And he was like, no, I'm not. I want to. And when we had like 10 minutes through a proper like important team meeting, he took 10 minutes to explain to us why it's not Wirral.
It's when you were talking about Bury, and I said to you, "Is it not Bury?" And you were like, "Oh, no."
And to be honest with you, what's fun is that I did that and I would do it again. And yeah, I'm still not 100%. I'm right.
We spelt Bury.
It-
Spelt Bury. You're gonna
'cause I
spell
went
it
to uni
like
in Manchester. I'm sure they all said Bury. Like they made a really big deal about it being Bury.
that. Yeah, the amount of people that do say Bury. It's like, why would it? If it's Bury and it's spelt Bury, why would people say Bury?
It always makes me laugh how you can tell when we just don't want to talk about. So like we do not want to talk about Bournemouth anymore, and we've just gone off to be like, let's talk about Bury and the Wirral.
Anything you're talking about, I'm trying to deviate us away. I do apologise about that, but
I'm okay with it.
I'm bored of talking about. I'm going to say Bury, Bournemouth. I'm bored of talking about the bees. Let's go into the quiz, mate.
The
And I'm not even going to
quiz!
celebrate it. No.
No? Huh, fine. Right,
Quiz!
well, no, you had your moment. It's fine. Whatever.
All right, okay,
Just
fair enough.
bloody ask some
Right.
questions then.
Do you know what I might do? If anyone actually cares about the quiz, because I went back through the comments, because we spoke about that in the last podcast and said, does anyone even care that we do the quiz? Guess how many comments we had about the quiz?
None. 2. None. No, I was right the first time. Is that question 1?
No, it's not. You got it bang on first time. So yeah, I don't actually know if anyone cares about the quiz. So what we might do is do the quiz. If no one comments about the quiz this week, then maybe we drop the quiz and see if anyone cares. And if nobody cares, we bring it back because we love it.
I'm gonna say I was waiting for this. I was like, but I like the quiz, Nick.
Yeah, I like the quiz too.
What do you mean? We do this for the viewers, do we? I was just doing this for a laugh on a Monday night.
Well, it should be a Sunday night, but
It should be a Sunday night,
well,
but somebody couldn't be bothered to talk about Bournemouth on a Sunday night, so whatever. Me.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Spent half an hour talking about it on Saturday night, and someone actually said had a go at me for something. I can't remember what it was now. Had a go at me for something, and I'm like, May, I spent half an hour talking about this game instead of spending my time with my family on a Saturday night. Like, just leave me alone. Do you know when you just like you can tell when everybody's annoyed because people get annoyed about the tiniest little thing.
And people get annoyed about being annoyed as well. That's the thing. Like, I know for a fact that my dad would have been absolutely unbearable. Like, he was bad enough from the like stadium to the car. I genuinely like I bet my mum did not have a single moment of like, and like I bet they didn't laugh once all evening. Like he would have just been sat in his chair, miserable. Bloody Strictly Come Dancing's on. Why are we watching this? Can't be done. They turned up in the rubbish. What we eating? I know it'll be so miserable.
Oh God, we need to get your dad on this podcast at some point.
Oh,
I might
that's
just let
great.
you and your dad do
he's
it.
awesome. He'd love it as well.
Would he do it?
Oh, probably. I think I'll ask him if you want.
Well, I've offloaded predictions. I've offloaded.
See if he does reaction.
Previews.
I'd say that'd be box office.
Does he want to do a match reaction and a podcast as well? Does he want to interview some players?
He might. I tell you what. When I did the when we went to the Rob Coslock, Chris Morgan thing, my dad approached them before I did. I was like, right, they're gonna come round in a minute, and my dad was like, Chris, are you all right? How's things? Oh, what you doing now? Oh, you a scout? What you doing? And I was like, don't worry about me, Dad. Yeah, it's all right. Then eventually we were like, this is all my son. He does a podcast, actually. I wondered if you might want to give him your number. I was like, Dad. Actually, he's right, though.
Yes, Mr. Morgan.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Morgan. Cheers, Dad. See ya. That's how I met my wife, to be fair. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, right. Okay. Quiz. Let's not put the quiz off. We love the quiz.
We do.
Let's quiz it up. So, this is all about stats about United this season. I was trying to think of something. I didn't want to do teams that have been rubbish for United or players that have been rubbish for United in the past, which I wanted to do. But what we'll do is we'll do stats around the players and things like that. So we'll start with a pretty easy one. How many different goal scorers have scored for the Blades this season, excluding OGs?
Excluding own
Is
goal,
it 4, 5, 6, or 7?
excluding the top scorer. We're not allowed to talk about the top scorer.
Excluding the prolific OG.
Right,
Yeah,
who's
that'd be
scored? Let's go through. Gus Harmer scored at Forest and Tottenham.
I'm not counting them for you. This is you. You got
Yeah. I've got my fingers. got 10 of them. I don't think it'll be that many. Gus Harmer has got 2. McBurney has got 2. Archer has got 2. Own goals has got 3. I think we've scored 10. So I'm going to say that we've got 4 goal scorers.
I thought you'd have actually tried
Ollie
to
Norwood,
say the other goal scorers.
Ollie Norwood's got 1. And then, just to confirm, Bogle were an own goal against Brighton. Did he score separately? I don't think so. None at centre halves have gone forward and got 1. Left wing backs, no. Midfield, Vinny Souza, no. Maka, don't think so. Albeit that he's played all right. Who scored first one against Wolves is the question that we're Archer. Yeah, 4.
Incorrect.
What goal have I forgot?
You literally just said Bogle's goal against Brighton was an own goal. Has he scored? No, definitely hasn't scored.
Oh, he's...
Manchester City.
Manchester City.
Mate. You have had an absolute mare. That was the easy question. You got no chance now. You're done for.
Oh, I should have got that. I didn't even think about Manchester City, to be honest. I'd written it off.
You rushed it.
I did rush it. Well, do you know what it is? I feel pressure sometimes because you tell me I take too long on quiz.
Yeah, because I don't want to edit loads of dead air time.
I know.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, that is my fault. I'll take a.
It's really not. It's entirely my fault that I went Jagan Bogle. Well, he's not scored. It were an own goal. See you later.
So yeah, we've got Archer, McBurney, Harmer, Norwood, and Bogle. Number 2, which player has the current highest rating according to FootMob?
According to FootMob.
Do you want me to give you some? So Ollie Norwood, Gus Harmer, Vinny Souza, Ollie McBurney, pal.
Oh, are they the 4 options?
Yeah. Why? Who would you have gone for?
Well, to be honest, I thought it'd be Wes. I thought he'd get points for saves.
Put Wes in there then, shouldn't I?
Because I thought, obviously, he's made most saves in division. So I assumed that even though they've not exactly been wonder saves, I thought he would be getting points for making saves.
Yeah, but he's conceded. He conceded 81 game, mate. That's
Ollie Max played the fewest. And therefore, he's had more opportunity for his average to be higher. And he's also scored a couple. So I'll go. And also, I would say he's been the best of those 4 players. And I would say that he's comfortably been the best of those 4 players. So I'll go Ollie Mack.
Excellent. Well, you're right with the first name.
Norwood. See, Norwood was my second option because whether or not we think his performance level passes the eye test, he gets so many points on FOTMob and those kind of statistic websites from obviously passes attempted, successful passes made. He wins tackles as well through midfield that maybe people don't give credit for. So I can see how he would be somebody who's really got a good rating on that. He obviously always does normally do well. I do think of those 4, McBurney's being comfortably the better player though.
I actually think it was in that order as well. Norwood, Harmer, Souza, McBurney. And actually, I love Gus Harmer. Love him to bits. But his level has dropped right down to everybody else's
please
level.
Don't get me started on Vinny Souza. My word. I'll be here another 10 minutes just ranting about him because he's doing my head in.
He's doing my head in.
Doing my head in.
Like he's somebody that you share an office with.
Yeah,
and
he's just personally.
His phone's going off all the time.
Yeah, he makes a really weak cup of tea, that kind of thing. Like every morning he's like, "Oh, I'll make him," and he makes a really weak cup of tea.
That's way
doing
too
my
much
head
milk
in that lad.
Puts 2 sugars in. Why does he put 2 sugars in every time?
Why does he always insist on grabbing PG tips when Yorkshire's just there? It's that kind of. He's annoying me like that guy in office.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, next, number 3. Name every assister this season according to FotMob. There's 4. 4 assisters. Can you get all 4?
Own goals don't count as having an assist, do they?
No.
So,
All Blades, 4 players.
Baldock set up that for McBurney at weekend, didn't he? So
1,
that's 1.
yeah.
I can't remember Bogle's goal against Man City at all, so I'm just going to say it were a deflection and it weren't an assist.
Oh, God, yeah.
So I don't think that had an assist. 2 penalties, so they don't have an assist. McAtee set up Archer at Wolves because ball bounced off his knee.
Yeah,
So
well
Macca,
done. 2 more. You got this, mate.
Gus Harmer against Forest. Are they? I think they're both defensive clearances, aren't they? Against Forest and against Spurs. So I don't think anybody set either of them up. Archer against
It's
Everton
hard.
was Harmer. Against Everton. Oh, and that's an own goal, isn't it? I'm thinking that one where is it posting it's it Pickford on back because Harmer did so well to set that up. So who passed it to him from the
Who'd have thought
right
we'd be
wing?
13 games in and Gus Harmer's not even got an assist?
I know, no assist and 2 goals. It's not his best. Who set
It's
up
not
his
his fault,
first
though,
one?
I think.
Somebody got down right wing, knocked it in. He volleyed it home. Were it his strike partner, Ollie Mack? I think it were.
Yeah, that's 3.
So
One
that's
more.
3. And what goal?
That was the easier one. This one's the hard one. I'm going to give, right, 3, pick 3 players now, quickly, to get it moving. And if you get it right, I'll give it you.
I can't even think what goal it is, though. This is the problem that we're experiencing now because we've
I
talked
don't
about
know
goal
where-
scorers, and now I can't
I don't
remember
know
any
where
of them.
this has come from.
I
This
think
guy's-
it's got to be one of Harmer's 2, and somebody must have passed him ball that I can't remember. So I'll say that the long throw was flicked on by Anel, or by Egan, or by Vinny Souza.
Yeah, you were never going to get it because it's actually Jack Robinson.
Oh, just for the throw.
I don't know. I don't know where it's come from.
It must
Could
be the throw for Harmer's goal at Spurs.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. So, yeah,
No.
sorry, that was a hard one. So you
That
are
was hard.
0 for 3 right now.
I mean, it's harsh. It's harsh. It is harsh.
This one, sorry, this is even harder.
Oh, God.
I'm not even, no, I don't
Ask
even
it. Come on.
apologise.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, I've had another one in. Do you know what? I'll take this one out.
No, give me
because-
it. You can't do that now.
All right,
I want to know
okay,
what it
so
is.
There's 6 questions then.
6
So how
questions,
many
please.
expected goals have United mustered up this season? Is it 10.5? Is it 12.5? Is it 14.5? Or 16?
10.5. It's less
Thank
than
you
1 a
very
game.
much. That's 1 point. Well
Yeah.
done. Oh, it's bad, that, isn't it?
So
So
is it
bad.
0.69?
I tried to give you that one a
It's
little bit.
0.69 a game, innit? I look at the per
don't
game
know.
stats, Nick, when I'm checking for predictions.
Good man. Good man. How many big chances have the Blades created this season? Is it 7, 8, 9, or 10?
Oh, that's embarrassing. It's going to be
It's a
7.
bad start, isn't it? It is 7. It's 7.
1 every other game.
Right, and finally, this is quite an easy one, but you might just have forgotten. So let's see. We've conceded 2 penalties this season. Who conceded them?
Egan and ball against Man City.
Very good. That's the one that I forgot about. You've got 20
and
seconds.
We gave away another penalty that I think was an L.
Against?
I can't remember. He tripped somebody up, those who were running it box for no reason at all. At Bramall Lane.
Incorrect.
Well, he must have done that last season. Who did we concede a penalty against?
Arsenal.
Oh, yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
It's one of those
Written
games
that
where you
off.
just write off. After 2 or 3, you just write off the rest of the goals.
Yeah, I'd written that off, yeah.
Yeah, it was Ollie Norwood tripping someone.
Yeah, I genuinely couldn't even tell you who scored penalty. I couldn't have even told you that we'd given a penalty away in that game. I've blocked that one out. To be honest, it's similar where I don't think I could tell you who scored for Newcastle. I just don't think I could after the first couple. I was just like, I don't know.
Me, it was 8 different scorers. That's all I remember.
Yeah, just name starting
It'll be a
11
while.
and you'll get as many.
Oh, right. Anyway, that's the quiz.
The quiz,
I'm going to
2 out
give
of
you
6.
2 out of 6. Yeah, give you that. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
one of them weren't supposed to be a question, so I'll just give you 1 out of 5 instead.
Thanks. Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. Good work.
No worries, pal. Right,
Uh,
Ollie, let's talk about the man that is Paul Heckingbottom. Obviously, he's not going to get sacked before
nope.
the Burnley game. If we win, lose, or draw, is this man keeping his job?
I don't think so. No. I think obviously,
Even if we win?
even if, well, I think he will keep his job if we win, but I don't think that he should. I do think that sometimes there are more important things than just the results, and I do think that we've reached the point now where I've lost. I said it earlier. I've lost confidence, but I've lost hope. Like I have no hope in this current setup that we'll be able to get more than 15 points because I don't see how we beat anybody. So Burnley might be worse than us. Burnley
Yeah.
might only get 10 points this season. But I don't think that there's enough, unless we come out and we really put on a show. And I mean, we have a clear style, we have a structure, we are able to see development. I could tell you what we worked on in training. Unless we can do that, I just don't see how he turns it around. I do think he'll be given time because we've got, I think Darren Smith said it on Twitter, where we've got lots of games in a row. So I think if we win, he will keep his job. But to be honest, I don't think he should even if we win. And I think he'll definitely be gone if we lose.
Yeah, I completely agree. I wonder if we draw whether he keeps his job for a bit
Probably
longer.
get through
I
Liverpool.
almost feel like,
Let Liverpool
yeah,
stick 10 past us at Bramall Lane and then he'll lose it after that.
but will he though? But that's the thing. It's like I understand that let him test himself against those team around us. We're obviously going to lose against Liverpool. We're obviously going to lose against these big teams. So they're not the ones where we're testing him. We're testing him against the smaller clubs, and we've just been hammered by Bournemouth. So, and we say 3-0. Some people might say 3-0 is not a hammering. People that didn't watch the game,
3-1.
that was a hammering.
You forgot a goal, Nick.
Keep saying
3-1.
keep saying 3-0
It felt
because it
like
felt
3-0.
like a 3-0 game, didn't
Well,
it?
it didn't. It felt like a 5-0 game that just finished
Yeah, it
3-1
did.
somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Anyway, I just want to quickly ask you, Chris Wilder, if he did come in, I know you don't want him to come in. If he did come in, what style of play would we be playing? Are we going back to overlapping centre
Yeah.
backs? Is that what we're doing? Because actually, I think obviously Enel would be fantastic as an overlapping centre back. Truste, I think, would be really good as an overlapping centre back. When he's got a bit further forward, he looks like he wants to get involved. Not like Jack Robinson. Jack Robinson always seemed a little bit struggling, a bit lacking in that area. He don't want to get forward, but Trusty seems like he does.
Yes, I think we do. I think we do go back and I think we do tried and tested what worked before. But there's something more important than that I think Wilder would bring. And like you said, I don't think he's the man. He's not the one for me. I don't think we need to go back. I think we need to look at new ideas. I'd be looking at managers from the EFL. I'd be looking at Carlos Corberan. I'd be looking at Liam Rossinia. I'd be looking at Steven Schumacher. There are managers out there, young and developing, who I think have shown enough with limited resources that we can then try to develop them. But I do think that the most likely outcome is that it's going to be Chris Wilder, and I completely understand how and why and all the different feelings on that. And I will forever love him, even if I disagree. What he will do that excites me is if Alan Nil comes with him, we will make a plan for corners and set pieces. Like that's the other thing. If you're not good enough to score a goal, then you need to find another way of doing it. We'll do that with set pieces. Alan Nil made a real difference on that for us in our rise through the division. So I think it'll be overlapping centre backs. I think it'll be passion, as it were. And I think we'll at least have plans and structures. We'll see some new corner routines. We'll see something a bit different. And hopefully that might have an immediate impact.
I think that's what we need. We need some sort of impact right now because right now it's just not working at all. And I put a tweet up there the other day, and it did feel like the penalty decision and the red card, that against Wolves and then that against Brighton, did paper over the cracks a little bit.
It did.
And we got excited a little. We got a little bit
I got
excited, didn't we?
excited. I'm not going to pretend I didn't. I got excited. I
But
remember
I think
saying,
deep down we knew
we
that
did.
it still wasn't good enough.
I,
But sometimes winning and goals breed confidence. And we were thinking maybe we can ride this confidence train and we can get a little bit more out of them. And then maybe we can go on a slight bit of a run, whether it be a win, 2 defeats, a draw, a win, 2
Yeah.
defeats,
I
something like
like
that.
not what it is. Do you know what? I really like not losing. Like,
Mm,
there's something really good about just not getting battered on a Saturday. Like, it's really enjoyable to just not see your team lose. And
yeah,
the trouble is that we did let it paper over the cracks. But when we look back, you'll see it because you'll have got messages from me saying it at the time. At half time against Wolves, the goose was cooked and it was over because it was an awful first half. We then showed a bit more second half, got through. After 45 minutes against Brighton, the goose was cooked. It was awful. There was nothing at all on offer. We weren't going anywhere. And then they had the red card, and we managed to get ourselves back into it. But it's not beyond the realm of possibility to think that from those two games, we might have only got 1 point. And I don't
yeah,
think that would have been enough. And so I do think that we got a slice of luck. It papered over the cracks because it made it look a little bit more like a manageable situation. But I think ultimately it's probably harmed us in the long run that that papered over the cracks. But we needed the points, and to be honest with you, we
yeah,
need the points whenever we can get them. So paper over the cracks as much as you want, get us above 11 points, and then I'll care a lot more about papering over the cracks after we've got past 11. I just want it, 3 spozzy wins where somebody falls over, it bounces off the backside and into top corner. That'll do. Just get me to 12 points. I'll be happy.
I know, it's really sad when we're thinking about it like that, but, anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about, what's happened on the internet this week
The
with
internet.
Sheffield United.
Ooh. Oh,
Yeah,
with
the
Sheffield United.
internet.
Sorry, I thought we were talking just general what happened on the internet this week. I thought, oh wow, well, this is going to be a fun little quiz.
No, let's talk about the fact that Chris Wilder has been photographed with so many different fans that I've seen on Twitter. So he's obviously gone on a night out in Sheffield,
He went to
and
the
every
boxing.
fan. Oh, was it the
He went to the
boxing that he went
boxing
to?
Sunday night,
What boxing?
Saturday
What
night.
boxing are you talking about?
Saturday night. There was some boxing on Saturday night that he went to. Must have been a local event because I've got some friends who'd gone and seen him.
Right,
I
okay.
don't know
The
what
amount
the
of
event
people.
was, but there was a local boxing thing that he was at.
Right, it's because I've seen lots of the photos were in pubs, so I'm assuming
He
that
might have gone
obviously
out
he's gone
before or
for
after, or
pre-drinks or afterwards, yeah. So obviously he's been out. There were also lots of people saying that he'd gone to the Rotherham game, which obviously the Rotherham job still could be a viable job for him, depending on whether we want him or not. But I think Chris Wilder would give his right arm to be Blade's boss again.
I'll on good authority, he's not going to be the new Rotherham manager. He'll not work with the chairman at Rotherham.
Oh, okay. Not allowed to go on a video.
Why
It's
not?
on there.
Yes.
And finally, the last thing I want to talk about, Ollie. I don't think you've seen this podcast, but I'm going to mention it anyway. The Sam Allardyce
I love
podcast.
that how every time something's happened on the internet, I love how we do this section and we talk about it every week. And every single time you're like, "Have you seen this all?" And everybody knows that. Nah, because it turns out that I like doing this and talking about us, but I just don't watch anything, do I? I sit there and I watch ASMR on
You-
YouTube, and I sit there and I play on my PlayStation reading Spider-Man comic books, and then I talk about United for a bit.
yeah. So I asked you, have you watched this podcast? You said no, and then I didn't say that I was going to mention this,
You did say
but
you should watch it. It's really good. Watch it, watch it, watch it. And then I said,
did
yeah,
you
of course
watch
I
it?
will. Didn't watch
Well,
it.
I don't know if I said it was really good.
No, you
I
said you
said
hated it and it made you really angry.
it did make it did make me really angry. And actually, it's probably a video in itself. You could probably react to. There's probably enough content in there just to react to that video. By the way, no tippy tappy football podcast. That is the worst name for a podcast, and not because it's very long and it's a marketer's nightmare, but because it just shows what a dinosaur Sam Allardyce is. And the thing is, no tippy tappy football and all this rubbish.
So that's a
That's what
Guardiola.
you would think an 80s and 90s manager would call a podcast. This man was managing teams only
Last
a
year.
year or two ago.
It was
Was it
Leeds
last year?
manager last season.
Oh, he was as well. He was given a job in the Premier League. And the
He
thing is,
managed
obviously,
in the Premier League last season.
this is his podcast, right? The lady on it, I don't want to disrespect her too much. She probably knows a lot more about football than I do.
Do we
But
know her
Jesus
name? Does
Christ,
she have a name, Nick?
she's no idea. No idea. I've never seen her before in my life. I've only ever watched that one podcast because Billy Sharp was on it, and she was just as annoying as Sam Allardyce. She could have easily have got loads and loads of experience. I've never seen her before on anything, but she's just, it's like a producer said, I want you to be extremely positive and really upbeat about everything because Sam Allardyce is just boring. And yeah, all it is, Billy Sharp went on it. All they did was moan about Sheff United for probably an hour, pretty much. Billy Sharp said he pretty much would come back to United, no matter how they treat him. He would come back to United, whatever, because he loves the club so much. And it's great to hear. But at the same time, he was very bitter about leaving United. And as soon as he said, you left Sheff United in blah, 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 he was like, no, they got rid of me. And we didn't get rid of him. He just ran his contract just ran out, and then we didn't offer him a new contract. And I would have kept him for the kind of keeping it going, keeping the team together, keeping the captain at the club. But it's not my choice, and I understand why the powers that be let him go. He's 37. He only scored, I think it was 3 goals last season, and we're jumping up a league. But at the same time, you're going to get rid of someone who scores that many goals in his career and stuff. You better bring somebody else in who can do that, but at a higher level.
Yeah, I think the squad, the team, the club would probably say that Archer is that player, wouldn't they? You know, if it's one out, one in. So Billy Sharp out, Cameron Archer in. If that's your trade off, I think most people would have took that if you'd offered it me at start of summer.
But then are you saying that Iliman and I and
Well,
Harmer
Element and
are a
Die.
straight
Well,
swap?
yeah, forget about Harmer.
Because he's an
Harmer's for Sander. Yeah.
Illiman was a striker, wasn't he? Really?
Yeah, we
Let's be
didn't. We've
honest.
not replaced Illiman at all. What's most concerning is that effectively the replacement for Illiman and Die is James McAtee. That's effectively
No,
the
he's
like for
not
like
because
swap
James
on Illiman
McAtee
and
was here
Die.
last season.
But James McAtee was here last year, and so yeah,
He's
I
a
do get
replacement for
that.
himself.
And we should we should have. Should, I'm not saying we should have kept Billy Sharp. I'm not going to say it. I probably would have done. I nearly cried seeing him on Town Hall steps when we were there at end of season having our celebration. It was really emotional. For me, I personally would have kept him at Bramall Lane, but he didn't have that much to offer us on the pitch. Realistically, he wasn't offering that much last season. I can understand why he'd be bitter. I can understand why he'd want to leave. I can understand why Sam
Well,
Allardyce would want to stir pot because he's that kind of man. You know, he's still got a chip on his shoulder because he was too busy trying to take bribes to be England manager. I mean, sorry, mate, you took your own career away. But you know what I mean? There's that balance to it. But he wouldn't make us any better, would he? Let's be honest. If Billy Sharp were in our team, we wouldn't have beat Bournemouth on Saturday.
I slightly disagree because there's been times where we brought Benny Traore on, and we might as well have just brought Ben Osborne
Yeah,
on and put him
yeah,
in front.
yeah. Actually, yeah,
So
he
I
is a
think
better
Billy would
option
have
off bench
offered.
than Benny Traore.
He'd have offered slightly more, but just because we've not done very well, that's why fans are saying, "Oh, you should have kept Billy Sharp." I think we should have kept Billy Sharp, but not for the reasons on the pitch, because it
Leadership.
does feel like we've got a lack of leadership right
We
now,
haven't got a
and
captain, have
obviously
we?
losing.
No disrespect. I don't mean this with disrespect to the players, but I think from what I've seen this season, I don't believe Egan or Norwood are really captain material. Like, I've bigged up Norwood. I've been really positive about him. I was really nice to him. I did a video on why I think he's important. And I actually mentioned his leadership qualities as part of that video. But what I saw on Saturday again was something that changed my mind, where there was a moment where he'd got the ball in midfield. He'd miscontrolled it, or in fact, I think he'd not got the ball. Somebody else had got the ball. They'd been tackled. The ball was rolling towards Norwood, but they wanted a free kick for what had happened on the wing. And while the ball rolled past him to their player, he shouted at the ref. While the ball rolled past him and their player ran forward. And it was at that exact moment that I went, no, 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 no. You're supposed to be our captain. I'm not having that. Not having that at all. And I think there is a lack of leaders. And so Billy's leadership is probably missed, and he's probably missed significantly. If Wilder comes in, I wouldn't be shocked to see him come as a coach or something like that. I would expect to see Billy Sharp back at the club if Chris Wilder comes. But I agree. I don't think it's for his on the pitch impact, albeit that he might have a little bit more to offer than Benny Traore. But then Dan Jebison will be fit soon, and Asula looked good at the weekend. So, do you know what I mean? He'll be fit in the pecking order once everybody's fit.
Yeah. Nobody knew that we were going to pick up so many injuries. Like, yeah, maybe we
Well,
should have known.
you said that. We've been doing
History.
this for 4 years, so it's not like it's all new, is it?
No, it's not. Anyway, I think we should leave it there, mate. We've had a good old natter. I've really
We
enjoyed it.
have.
And yeah, we'll hopefully come back pretty soon. We might try and do it as a monthly one instead of try and do it every week because we've got a lot of content on for the main channel.
Yeah,
So this is
December's a
obviously
nightmare. Why don't we release it on? Why don't we film one to release on Christmas Day as a bonus for everyone?
that'd be
That'll
lovely.
be next
That'd
one.
be,
We can record one in advance so that it goes out on Christmas Day and geez everybody up for Luton on Boxing Day. You can listen to it on
how
your
can we
Boxing Day morn.
do it in advance when we don't know who would like when we'd do you know who would play and then if we were going to lose or win or what?
I mean, film it so it goes out before the Luton game, which happens on Boxing Day, but after whatever the game is before.
What are you trying to do to me?
I'm trying to get you to film a podcast, Nick. To be honest with you, I'm
Got a
not asking
life.
loads.
Got a life, Ollie.
Admittedly, you've got a son. I forget about that. You know, some of us have got a comic book subscription. You know, there's levels to this game.
I nearly said that. I was like, you've definitely not got kids if you. Well, actually, yeah, you should have kids if you're reading that many comic books.
What are you trying to say, Nick? You're saying that, that my comic books
Child,
aren't grown up.
child.
What's fun is that while you say this to me, I've got my box of cufflinks next to me for some reason because I had to go to work and wear a suit the other day, and my cufflinks are Deadpool cufflinks, and it's not. I've got my pen holder, which is Groot. I've got
that pen
wall.
holder.
Hey, now who's a
We've
child?
got it in our living room.
Yeah, screw you, Nick.
That's the most perfect way to end. Screw you, Nick. Anyway, thank you very much for watching us. I've really enjoyed this, and let's do it very, very soon. Cheers, Ollie.
Cheers, mate.